G'day race fans, it's time for your weekly roundup of the Sandgroper Sim Racing Carrera Cup Championship, and this week we head to UK's favourite racetrack in Brands Hatch. As Murray Walker once said, why the authorities spend millions of pounds trying to turn Silverstone into a great circuit when we have one already in Brands Hatch is a mystery to me. Who am I to argue with the great man? From the Paddock Hill bend that puts panic into the first turn to Clark curve to finish the lap, this track has history everywhere. Druids, Hawthorne Bend, Sheens into Stirlings and the legendary Dingley Dell. One thing's for certain, if you don't like the track, you have to appreciate the names this track has been assigned. So strap into your favourite chair as we get into one more round. This week's qualifying was brought to you by Cocoa Life Coconut Water. Why our marketing department didn't call this nut juice is beyond me. Made for 100% big hairy coconuts, never from concentrate. Cocoa Life, straight from the nut. Qualification saw Trevor Leonard once again dominating, taking qual by half a second to Aaron Cooper, who managed to put a gap between Damien Watson and David Cook. Michael Neate lined up against his mate Lewis Parron instead of directly behind him in an effort to avoid the burnout at the start. With 17 cars jumping into this round, there was groups of close times the whole way down the list, which was going to make for some fantastic racing. Two newcomers this week, with Vincent Santucci qualifying into 8th position and Trev's mate Alexander Newton coming in at 12th. Don't worry Alexander, before this week, being Trev's mate would have been a good thing. And we are away. Both front row runners had a bad start, with Aaron bogging it down, forcing Cocky to the outside with a thoughts fuck that obviously crossed his mind. Everyone filtered through Paddock Hill for the first time without too much hassle, but the real trouble started at Druid's hairpin. A red mist affected Trevor Leonard, got in the back of Watson at the wrong moment, turned him around into oncoming traffic where poor Josh Doyle had nowhere to go and no time to react. This crippled Watson and impacted Josh. Here we get another view of the impact between Doyle and Watson as Matthews takes advantage to slide on through, going through Druids. Lewis Parron was unaware of the black flag being shown to Trevor Leonard and was all over the back of Leonard, getting a little bit excited, pushing a little too hard through Sheen, saw the front right wheels touch into the grass, and it was a quick visit to fuck that land. Leonard entered pits to serve his stop-go for the jump start, however there was no drive-through for the reaming of Watson, and officials are still yet to comment. And here we see Lewis Parron, check that, newcomer Alexander Newton setting up a nice pass on Gary Smallcombe coming into the harrowing turn 1. I think we're going to have to do something about those paint schemes, boys, because it's confusing as hell from where I'm sitting. It can only be worse from the cockpits of the cars. Lap 2 saw Cookie going wide at Paddock Hill, letting Neate and Gilholm through, in which we would see a race-long tussle between these three drivers. Neate then proceeded to push wide into Graham Hill, giving away the position to Gilholm, as we see Watson limping into pits to take advantage of an instant repair. The fight continued between these three as we ride with Cookie and watch Jace fire it off at Dingle Dell. Lap 3, and newcomer Alexander Newton chanced his arm against Gavin Ninnis, coming down the Brabham Straight, heading into turn 1, and pulled off a great clean pass in a tricky section of the racing track. This opened the door for Gilholm, who made a forceful move on Ninnis, trying to reclaim lost time, and made it stick as he chases down Newton. Parron pulled up behind Clinton Parker and he made the pass stick as he headed into Sheens. This was all despite Clinton having a damaged car, and he still managed to give plenty of room to Lewis in a good clean display of racing. Leonard was on a charge on lap 5, taking Josh Doyle into Stirlings, and also managed to hold momentum, passing Smallcombe as he struggled out of the corner exit. Josh Doyle also took advantage, slid on past for another position. Lap 7 saw Mr. Consistency, Daniel Bailey, drop a wheel and make contact with a fence on the exit of Stirlings, so he has gone from consistently not hitting walls to consistently hitting everything in his path. Look out for Bathurst next week. Lap 7 saw a stranger incident than Smallcombe at Sunset on Sebring, as Lewis Parron approaches Sheens. The car just went straight on. When asked about this in a post-race interview, it was revealed that Parron forgot which right-hand turn he was in. Hello, dickhead. Newcomer Vincent Santucci got into the mix in his first race on lap 8, having a great go with Doyle and Ninnis into Paddock Hill. He took advantage of a late Josh Doyle lunch into turn 1, managed to get Ninnis heading into Druids. It looks like Cookie has gotten over his first lap spinsies and puts on a solid performance here just ahead of Michael Neate. Let's just shut up for a second, pump up the volume and let the sounds do all the talking. Lap 8 had Daniel Bailey battling damage and pitting 1 lap too late as he goes wide at Paddock Hill, then gets passed by Lewis into Druids, only to hang tough on the exit and take it back. Leonard tries to follow through but lights them up on exit, giving them a bit of breathing room. Bailey gets it a bit loose heading out of Graham Hill Bend, giving the position to Parran in the end. This wasn't the final bad news for Bailey this lap, as still fighting a damaged car, Leonard recovered and got through at Westfield. Lewis Parran had a moment on lap bugger, fair suck of the sab, they do look the same. Newton got loose in the sheens and poor Sean Reid had nowhere to go, taking avoidance out into the dirt and only picking up some minor damage. With a repaired car, Bailey took advantage to pass Ninnis heading into Clark Curve on lap 15. He smoked him because he had him on the exit. This gave Damien a chance at a pass, but the desire to push on was petered by the fact this day was done early and backed out of a pass into Paddock Hill. Lap 16 and Michael Neate fell victim to the issue that is online racing as he encountered Jasmine Beach just as she blinked, causing confusion at the wrong moment. Sheens is a pain in the arse at the best of times, but this was compounded here through no fault of Jasmine's or his own. So 18 laps later, Aaron Cooper took a comfortable win for his first victory in the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship with a 5-second victory over David Cook. A big congrats to Aaron Cooper, who's been putting in the hard yards this season and is closing the gap on Leonard each week. Michael Neate pulled off a fantastic podium. Leonard finished outside the top 5 for the first time this season. Newcomer Santucci had a good finish in 8th position, but Newton had one to forget, finishing 4 laps down, only 1 spot ahead of Parran, who ironically both cars had the same paint scheme. That's got to tell you something, doesn't it? Gavin Ninnis and Jasmine Beach managed to do the impossible and record 0 incident races, giving themselves an extra 5 bonus points. Newcomer Newton received 2 penalty points for his 12 incident points, but the good news is he's still a long way off the record of 18 held in one race by Smallcombe and Reid. With that finish and the first of the drop rounds kicking in, we see Leonard with an unassailable lead unless Cooper can invent time travel. Watson will have to fight back now and hope for some good finishes in the next few rounds, but that win should cement Cooper into 2nd overall for the season. He will be hard to dislodge from there. Pete Matthews jumped 2 spots and sits behind Bailey. That could come right down to the wire, with Parran and Reid all being in the top 10. Smallcombe and Doyle will be fighting it out at season's end, as well as Jasmine Beach, who is only 12 points adrift. If you would like to contact the Sandgroper Sim Racing community, you can do so via the iRacing League area. Just search for Sandgroper and it will pull up pretty quickly. You can also find us on Discord under the same name and via a Facebook page as well. Do a search for Sandgroper Sim Racing and you'll find everything you need. Next week we head to the mecca of Australian motorsport, Mount Panorama in Bathurst. Drivers will be fighting off COVID as much as the walls. We will see you next week as the championship draws to a close. Bathurst. Fuck me. We really have to visit that clusterfuck of a racetrack. Holy shit. Yeah, look, I know, Bob. I know I'm the only Aussie who thinks it's a pile of shit to race. Happy to watch it, don't want to run it. Well, turn the fucking mic off then, Bob, you cockwomble.